So as some of you may or may not already know, the SP1200 had an iconic dirty, gritty, raw sound. The method to achieve this was actually born out of producers who were trying to get around the sample time limitation of 10 seconds. They figured if they could pitch up their record on the turntable and then down on the SP1200, it would buy them more sample time. And it did. Lo and behold, along with that came an interesting effect, which was the result of aliasing. What happened was, being 12-bit, pitching down a sample drastically gave us what we've come to know as the SP1200 sound. Now, fast forward decades later, Dave Rossum, the father of the SP1200, has built us a beautiful modular sampler right here. It offers a handful of excellent quality modulation parameters, and interestingly enough, you can tune your samples between 1 bit and 32 bits. On top of that, we've been given the gift of aliasing control, which ranges from 0 to 100%, and in the manual, Dave mentions a handful of aliasing ranges that represent algorithms and types of color you can achieve. We're going to focus on the SP1200, which, as you can see here in the manual, is exactly 89%. Now, being an SP1200 owner, one of the first things I did when I got the Assimil8or was grab a record, pitch it up, and pitch it back down in the sampler. The same way I did on the SP1200. I think I went 8 semitones deep and wasn't really impressed, even at 12-bit with aliasing turned on. So I spent a little more time with it and thought to myself, there's gotta be a way to pull this sound out, because the pitch on this thing goes pretty far. Then I realized one of the unique features on the Assimil8or is that it's capable of sampling itself. So I grabbed a patch cable and really started pushing it. And just to give you an idea of how deep the pitch goes, you can see here that it goes down to minus 96 semitones and up to plus 60. Will you ever really go that far? Well, it depends on what you're trying to do, but for this test, we're probably not. So let's get started. I have a sample in here at its original pitch, and what I'm going to do is pitch it up and sample it back into the Assimil8or pitched down. Sort of like the original trick with the SP1200, but without the turntable. Now, I picked a Fender Rhodes sample because those always tend to sound extra sweet through the SP1200. But at the end of the day, you could sample drums or really anything you could think of, and it'll sound great. So first thing I'm going to do is play the original sample at its original pitch, which is on channel 5 right now. Next, we're going to take the output from channel 5 and plug it into the sample input. Let's set up channel 6 now. Pitch is currently normalized. Let's drop it down to 12 bits. Set up the aliasing as well. Now, I started to notice the alias really kicking in at somewhere between 12 and 16 semitones. And we're going to use 16 here. just make sure we're sampling on channel 6, and you tend to lose a little bit when you resample. Not sure what that exact number is, but I like to boost 2 dB to be on the safe side. Okay, time to arm our sample. Sampling. Done. Just going to get everything ready here for playback. Let's go to channel 6. Alright, next I want to go back to the original sample and bring back down the pitch so that I can give you a nice comparison here. Let's play it back. And of course we're going to need to unplug the output from the sample input first. Let's try that again. Now let's play our resampled version. So that's 16 semitones, and you definitely hear something different in the sound at that point. But we can go even deeper than this. I even like to go to 24 semitones, and for me personally, my sweet spot is usually between 16 and 24. You could go much higher than that if you want, but beyond, say, 30 or 32, it starts to become less musical due to all the artifacts you're adding to the sound. So we're gonna go ahead and set this up for 24. So the first thing that we're gonna do here is bump up our pitch on the original channel to 24. Next, we're going to pick a channel for our new resampled version. And I believe I have channel 7 free, so let's go with that. Let's go back to the original sample. Confirm we're at 24 semitones. And we're ready to resample. All done. And our sample's there. Okay, good. So the next thing I want to do here is play the original sample and then the resampled version pitched down 24 semitones back to back. So I'm going to need to move a patch cable down to channel 7. Original. And 24 semitones. That sounds beautiful. Now let's try 16 versus 24. So here's 16. And 24. There you have it. Now, in a lot of ways, I actually prefer this over the SP1200 because, first and foremost, you don't need to pitch up on your turntable anymore. And secondly, you don't need to worry about the accuracy of pitch matching and variances between turntable models and brands. Third, you can use this on sounds that might be tricky to pitch up at the source. All in all, the Assimil8or is an excellent sampler, and this trick gives another dimension of sound sculpting. So I want to thank you for watching, and happy sampling.